There are elections and then there are movements that define the direction of a nation. In 2026, two states, Assam and Keralam, are at the center of such a big movement. Different geographies, different political histories, but one common concern. A concern where demography begins to influence democracy. From infiltration and land encroachment in Assam to rising radical influence and shifting political equations in Kerala. The question is no longer regional, it has become national now. And this week's Organiser cover story captures this unfolding reality. Namaskar and welcome to Organiser This Week, your weekly deep dive into the ideas, debates and developments shaping Bharat. We begin with the cover story, The Shadow of Demography over Democracy. At its core, the story is about a big fundamental shift. In Assam, demographic changes driven by decades of infiltration have altered not just society but also politics. Entire districts have seen Assamese communities reduced to minorities in this area, while illegal settlements of Bangladeshis and encroachments have expanded into forests, satras and government land. This is not just about numbers, it is also about how it is influencing Assam. Because when demographic weight begins to shape electoral outcomes, democracy itself starts responding to that very shift. And this is where governance steps in. Under Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma, Assam has witnessed a decisive pushback. Large-scale eviction drives have been conducted, reclaiming over 1 lakh bighas of land from encroachers. The state has made it clear land, identity and law cannot be compromised at any cost. But this is not just an administrative exercise, it is tied to a larger idea, Jati, Mati, Bheti, identity, land and of course homeland. And that is why this election is being framed not just as a political contest but as a civilizational choice of Assam. At the same time, the issue highlights how this debate is not limited to just one region. In Kerala, a different but parallel challenge is unfolding. Here the concern is not infiltration but the growing influence of radical Islamist elements and shifting political alignments. The state has long been dominated by two fronts, the LDF and the UDF. But now cracks are visible. Anti-incumbency, internal contradictions and voter fatigue are creating space for new political possibilities. The Bharatiya Janata Party, which once struggled to find ground in Kerala, is now expanding its outreach, particularly among the Christian communities, and slowly they are altering the political landscape of Kerala. And that is why Kerala is being described as a final frontier, and this election could mark a turning point for the state. Coming back to Assam, the second major report, Battle for Roti, Beti and Mati, takes a discussion even deeper. It highlights how the political narrative in the state today revolves around three core concerns: livelihood, security and land. The report draws a sharp contrast between two models. On one side, the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government's focus is on infra, welfare and enforcement. On the other, the opposition's attempt to consolidate specific vote banks. And this contrast is visible even in the data. Over the past decade, Assam has undergone a major transformation. Thousands of kilometers of roads have been built. Bridges now connect regions that were once isolated. Healthcare infra has expanded rapidly with new medical colleges and hospitals. More than 16,000 children have received life-saving heart surgeries, a statistic that reflects governance reaching to the grassroots. At the same time, land rights have been restored to lakhs of Assamese families under Mission Vasundhara. And most importantly, peace has now returned to the state. Assam, once known for insurgency and instability, has signed multiple peace accords and is now conducting elections in a single phase, a sign of confidence in law and order in the state. But the most important significant aspect remains the crackdown on encroachment, because this is where the development and identity intersect. Encroachment is not just illegal occupation, it affects the forest, it affects the Assamese land rights, it affects long-term planning in Assam. It has been linked to infiltration by the Bangladeshis. And this is why the government's eviction drives are being seen not just as an administrative action, but as structural corrections. Moving beyond elections, this week's issue also discusses economy. In the analysis titled Universalizing the Swadeshi Spirit, the focus shifts to Bharat's evolving global role. The article says that Swadeshi is no longer just about self-reliance, it is about global competitiveness. With new trade agreements with Europe and ongoing negotiations with the United States, Bharat is positioning itself as an indispensable economic partner. These deals open access to massive global markets, nearly $50 trillion, while also strengthening domestic industries. The emphasis is very clear, from protection to participation. This is a shift that aligns with the larger vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. The editorial of this week by Sri Prafulla Ketkar, Hope for the Best, Prepare for the Worst, brings in a global perspective. Amid rising geopolitical tensions, particularly in the West Asia, the editorial recalls for preparedness. It highlights how global conflicts can disrupt supply chains, energy markets, and economic stability. And in such times, Bharat must rely on its strengths, self-reliance, and of course, resilience. The national conscience. The message is very clear. Optimism is important, but preparation is essential today. The issue also features a significant interview with RSS Sarasangachalak Dr. Mohan Bhagwatji. His remarks focus on the role of emerging technologies and the need to use them constructively. The message here is very balanced. Technology cannot be stopped, but it must be guided. And it must be guided in a way that strengthens society rather than disrupting it. In the legal and constitutional space, the magazine examines debates around caste status and religious conversion. The argument is clear that conversion cannot be a tool to manipulate constitutional benefits. This is a debate that touches upon identity, law, and social justice. There is also a strong cultural and cinematic commentary. The analysis of the film Dhurandhar represents cinema not as a propaganda but as a mirror, a reflection of society, a space where narratives are contested and identities are explored. And finally, the defense can and temple treasure sections bring into essential dimensions of Bharat's identity, security, and spirituality. Because a nation is not defined by economy alone, it is defined by its civilizational roots and its ability to protect them. So when we look at this week's Organiser as a whole, a pattern emerges. From Assam to Keralam, from economy to culture, from global politics to local identity, there is one underlying theme, which is change. A change that is shaping the future of Bharat. Because in the end, the biggest question is not who wins an election. The real question is what kind of Bharat is being shaped through these choices that you and I are making. So thank you so much for watching Organiser this week. Stay connected for more deep and meaningful conversations.